Good morning and welcome to all of you. I'm really glad to see so many of you here today.
I just like to be able to get my foot in the door for a full-time position.
Women helping women is very important for the ladies in the community, because not only do we provide the employers who are hiring, but as well as the resources to help these women get back on track.
I love this event.
Hi there, ma'am. How are you? Good.
Oh, I love this event. This is amazing. A lot of opportunities here for people to come out and get jobs.
Are you looking for full-time employment?
Some of the employers that were present were actually doing on-the-spot interviews.
So it is full-time, 40 hours a week. We start everyone off at $10 an hour.
Maybe you might be interested in hearing more about the Mary Kay opportunity itself.
It empowers them to want to better themselves and go find employment and strive for self-sufficiency. I think if you're afraid to get back in the workforce, I think it's going to really hinder you from finding that job that you want.
I've actually been a stay-at-home mom for 8.5 years and have not worked in 8.5 years.
It's very difficult when you've been out of work for so long to try to get back in the workplace. So by offering this event for these women, employers are on board with hiring resources, or again on board with providing different resources in the community to help them get back on their feet.
So here's our training programs that we offer to help place you in a job. So the one I run is the food service training program, and it's a 16-week course that we will help you and give you all the skills to place you in a restaurant as a cook.
Being professional and presenting yourself in a professional manner to these employers and to the community, it really helps you. It really helps you in the long run.
I got 4 amazing outfits today. We even got shoes, jewelry, everything to go with it.
When you have the professional attire to go out in the community and search for employment, to go to these interviews, I think you feel more like a woman. You feel more put together, and you feel like you can offer your service to that employer. So I think the business attire and appearing professional is definitely needed in the workforce. So we had the cost-cutter hairstylists come, about 5 to 6 of them were present, and they were giving these individuals free haircuts.
Anything that has sunscreen in it is going to have like a 2-year shelf life.
Mary Kay was offering like free demonstrations on how to put makeup applications on.
Doesn't that hand feel amazing?
It can make a very big difference, because you come in feeling like you have nothing and you leave feeling like you have the world.
They've helped me all the way. I need this, or else I wouldn't be able to make it.
This is the opportunity for you. This is the place to be, and it's a warm place. It's very helpful here.
I'll be okay. I'll be tough. I can make it.
These individuals struggle, so I think if they hear somebody else's story, it empowers them to want to better themselves.
Thank you everyone for having me here today. My name is Rosalita Catalina Marvelina Perez. I hope you remember that at the end of my speech. I'm going to quiz you. On that note, reason for me speaking today is, not just myself, but all of us have had some obstacles in our life. And I'm a strong believer, and I'm also living proof that your life is what you make it. And I'm here to tell you why today, okay? So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself and a little bit where I come from. And just to let you know, your life is what you make it. So here we go. Again, my name is Rosalita. I'm 39 years old. I was born to Max and Linda Perez. They were teenagers when they had me. My parents did not have an education, and they had 3 children they had to provide for. So their means of making ends meet in our house was selling and using drugs, okay? Wow. My mother sold and used drugs, and she was a crack cocaine addict. And I'm sad to say that because she used so many drugs in her life, she has no cartridge in the middle of her nose. She has lost her teeth. But one thing I will say is she's clean and sober today, and I'm proud of her. My mother was addicted to crack cocaine all my life. She was physically and verbally abusive, and I'll get more into that. Now, my dad, his addiction it's interesting because my dad does not use drugs. He sold them. He sold drugs all my life, but he would not even drink a glass of wine or smoke a cigarette. And he's a biker. I'm like, really, Dad? Something's wrong. You know, but my dad did have an addiction. And you know what his addiction was? Money. He liked to have the big wads of money. And because that, he put his life and our life at risk, okay, to make ends meet. So at the same time, like I said, parents were together till I was about 12 years old. And that's when my nightmare began. Mom decided to go off and be with other men and be in the bars and partying. Dad, believe it or not, with his addiction to money, he was a welder and he was a hard worker and he worked every day and he would not miss work. But he liked to have them nice things in life and he didn't have the education to support it, so he sold drugs. So my Friday nights after school at home, we're watching my friends coming in and out of the house and watching Dad weigh out marijuana and cocaine. At the same time, after they divorced, I didn't see Mom much. She was so involved in her addiction of crack cocaine, she lived in the bathroom. And when she wasn't in the bathroom, she was always beating on me. It was normal for me to have a big lip every day. I would cry when I could not go to school because I knew that I was going to stay at home and get beaten for the day, get pulled my hair, and have bruises all over me. At the same time, I had an older brother, Emilio, and I had a younger sister, Venus, who still needed some parenting too. So I stepped into the plate and I became the mom. And I took over making sure my sister got to school, making sure that she was getting everything she needed, cooking and cleaning and serving. I was called Little Mama. Okay, I had to grow up really fast. Okay, so when I was 15 years old, my brother's friend raped me behind a tree in a front yard, and that's how I lost my virginity. And it's so interesting because I had to do a lot of work, and I'm still afraid of the dark till the day. So it carries you, but it's how you handle it. I have to tell you this. A month ago, I was watching the news, and this gentleman that raped me was on the news for raping other women.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. At the same time, he's in prison now. And because my parents were caught up in their lives and their addiction, I did not get him off the street and save them other women. I will not beat myself up, but I am just glad he's behind bars. Okay? So life went on. It didn't get any easier. Mom was in and out of the house with boyfriends. I was living with Mom. I begged to live with Dad, and they laughed at me. They said, what are you going to do at Dad's house? Can't even take care of yourself. So I got stuck staying in the abusive home with Mom. Men in and out of the house, night partying. I mean, I've seen everything from her having sex to doing the drugs to leaving them behind. And what my brother would do is he would go pick up the drugs after her and take them to school and sell them. So he now became a part of the system. Okay? So at that time, I was very developed and mature for my age. One of my mom's boyfriends was doing crack cocaine with her, and he decided to cold turkey quit. Well, you don't do that. You don't do that because you have so many side effects, you can even die over it. Well, because he did that, he turned to the Bible and he preached, and he said some weird stuff, and he just was not his normal self. Mom was at the bar one night, taking care of business, we called it, and he was at the house. It was me, him, and brother. All I can remember is him going in my room and raping me. At the same time, it didn't stop there because I wanted my mom's love and support. She came home after we found her what bar she was at. And all I can remember is her hugging me in the kitchen that night saying, are you sure this happened? Are you sure he did this? Mom did not believe me. Hardest thing in the world to be crying in her arms and her asking me that. She made it clear to me that her priority was getting her boyfriend back. My brother had kicked him out of the home that night until we found Mom. Well, Dad got wind of it. When I told Dad what had happened, he had already moved on to another relationship, and that was his priority. And his first comment to me was, are you telling the truth?
Yeah.
Wow. Really, Dad? That was all the help I had. I took it. We pressed charges on this man, and he was such a coward. Come to find out, he had molested somebody else in a previous relationship. It didn't stop there. We were going to court. We were doing the right thing. Dad was getting custody of me, trying to give me a better life. Meanwhile, I am still in high school. I'm still active in my activities. I was a peer counselor, played volleyball, and just tried to keep the spirit alive with people around me. Did it not fail? We were going to court, and this gentleman hung himself in the backyard. He was a coward. He didn't take responsibility for what he had done. At the same time, Mom was all about him, and she did not want to hear, talk to me, or see me because I was there making her life miserable. I took the one thing that loved her away, and I just couldn't see her happy. That's a lot of hurt and pain and anger. Your own mother not having the support you need from. Okay? At the same time, Dad was wonderful. He did try to step in, but Dad honestly didn't have parenting skills himself. He could barely take care of himself, and his priority was his new family. And it was all about them. And it still is to the day. For some reason, I found the strength, courage, and power to graduate high school in 1993 through all these obstacles. At the same time, that was the only lifestyle I knew. That's all the parenting I got. So what did I do? I followed the family train. I started selling drugs with my brother, cocaine. I started using crack cocaine right after high school. I was stealing, I was robbing, I was doing anything I can to get my drug. I had a shocker come into my life. I turned 19 years old, and I was still tweaking. We call it tweaking. And I was still getting high. I was smoking crack cocaine, rock, marijuana. Jack and Jim were my favorite friends back then. I don't even like them anymore. At the same time, went through a lot of obstacles with my using. Somebody just said, what is that? Jack and Jim theme. Just to clarify, it's liquor. At the same time, I had a shock in my life when I was 19 years old and I got pregnant from not taking care of myself. I was living in a basement in a drug-infested home, and I found out I was pregnant because I threw up my vodka and orange juice.
Oh, God.
I beat myself up because that night before I had just did some cocaine. And I had to make a choice at this point because I had somebody who didn't even know me, didn't even have their story straight, come to me and say, you don't have your story straight. How are you going to take care of a kid? Let me take your kid from you. This is my responsibility. His life is what I'm going to make it, and I had to really think about it. Am I going to end up with leaving my kid all over and keep getting high? And say I work at Taco Bell for 5 years and provide for him the best I can? That wasn't okay with me. That story didn't look good. So you know what I did? My son was born. My son was born 8 weeks early. He was premature. He had apnea and bradycardia. He would stop breathing. We lived in the hospital the 2 first years of his life. It was hard. I became a little nurse on top of it. Okay? At the same time, I was still parenting my sister because Mom was still out getting high. All right, so my son's born. I had to realize his life is what I was going to make it. And I am very proud of my son's life today, as I will get into that later. But at the same time, Damien was sick all the time. And I had to give him medicine. We had to go to sleep with heart monitors on. I had to really become a nurse because his life was in my hands. I didn't have time to get high anymore. Because if I was getting high, I could have lost my child. He weighed 4 pounds, 5 ounces. He was born on June 5th, 1995. I was his biggest support system. I went to the hospital every day. I breastfed. I hollered at them nurses if my baby was not changed. And he was not clean. That was not okay. At the same time, where was Dad? His dad walking into the hospital one day, and he goes, I heard I have a kid. And I said, yeah, you were my high school sweetheart. You heard right. He's like, I want a blood test. First words to me. I'm like, you know what, dude? I don't have nothing to hide. You can have all the blood you want. But right now, my priority is my son. He went to see him, took him a little T-shirt with some airbrushing on it. That was about all he did. Never active, never supportive, never involved in his life. I knew my son's life was what I made it. So I had to get my ball rolling, and I had to get on track and figure out what the heck I was going to do. At the same time, I was a single mom with a sick child on TANF. And I don't know about you, but living off $220 a month is not realistic. And at the same time, busting my butt at Taco Bell for 5 years and getting the pay I was getting was not going to feed us and take care of us either. I had to do something differently because his life was what I was going to make it. So you know what I did? I have a big mouth. And I used my skill of my big mouth to get information. And I went to Department of Social Services and I said, look, I have a sick child, I have no skills, and I'm not going to stay on welfare. What do you have to offer? What do you have to offer me? Back then, they had so many wonderful programs. I joined a program where they gave me skills and trained me to work at social services. I then worked in the homeless unit at Denver Department of Social Services. But I still struggled with my addiction. It came back to bite me every so often. I am blessed that I have overcome my addiction. And I have made my son my... At the same time, I knew having that addiction and being high all night and trying to work all day and raising a sick child was not the answer. And most of all, I did not want to end up like my parents. I despised them. I was hurt and angry because they were greedy and selfish when they didn't get an education and think of my future. And I had a lot of hurt and anger with them for that because my life is what they made it, and they were not very nice. You know why? Because till the day, my brother is in and out of prison selling drugs. Till the day, he's getting ready to go back and probably do life. He never broke the chain, okay? I knew I didn't want to end up like that, so you know what I did? I did the work. And I went to social services and I got skills and I cleaned my act up because I knew using crack was not the answer, okay? So I went through their program and I became a worker in the homeless unit processing TANF applications. Got a little bit of skills. At the same time, I didn't feel comfortable there. So you know what I did? I went and explored my options even more. I had skills now under my belt. I knew how to send a fax. I knew how to turn on a computer. And I knew how to fill out some forms. That was a start. That was a start. It was a small one, but it was huge for me because if I can make a taco and roll a burrito at Taco Bell, and now I'm filling out forms, woohoo! Moving on up. So on that note, I continued to grow. I learned that the skills word is what I really needed to get where I wanted to be in life. And my life was what I made it. So meanwhile, the family continued to use and sell drugs. I kept my distance. I call it loving them from a distance. It hurts. I'm a very family-oriented people, but I have to say hi and bye. I don't have the same lifestyle as them. I'm not better. I'm not too good. I just think differently. And if I get in that corrupt world, I'm not strong enough to get out of it. And because I've learned that, and I did the homework doing that, I know I cannot be around my family. But I still love them. I still wish the best for them. At the same time, let me move on to say that after I went out to social services, I had the nerve to walk into the staffing agency, and it was a real high-class one in a really higher-class area. I walk in there loud and proud. No, I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to be professional. I was from the hood. I was ghetto. I still got ghetto in me. At the same time, my parents didn't teach me a proper, so I walk in there. I have a short sleeve shirt on, showing bra straps, looked ghetto as heck. Now I know what ghetto is. But at the same time, I wasn't dressed appropriate and I got judged. It killed me. First, I'm like, is it a racial thing? No. It's your presentation. The first thing when someone sees you is everything. Unfortunately, you're judged a lot by our presentation. So I knew when I walked into this temp agency, I said, I want to do some office work. I want to be a receptionist. They said, you? And I said, yeah, me. They were dirty, ugly, and cold to me, and they downgraded me for the way I looked. They made me angry. So you know what I did? I played their game, and I sucked it up. And as much as it hurt me to go in their office knowing the way they talked and laughed and treated me, I took a job from them. And you know what I did? I used all that hurt and anger, and I turned it into something. And I got hired on permanently with that company. Amen. And you know what that did for me? That gave me more skills under my belt. I was now working in a leasing office for Class A buildings. I don't know if you know what a Class A buildings, but they're really nice buildings. And I went in there. I wasn't dressed right. The lady tells me, well, do you know how to work a computer? No. Well, you're not dressed appropriate for the reception position. I go, do you want me to leave? She says, I'll give you a shot. I said, I really am a hard worker. I learn quick. Just give me a chance. Went in there every day, went on time. I looked at the ladies around me judging me of how to dress, and I asked for help, and I learned how to dress properly. At the same time, I was a single mom. I didn't have money to go get my hair and my nails done. I went to the beauty schools, and I learned how to do it myself. I had to get creative. Okay? So cleaned up my act, looking a little bit nicer, moving my career around. At the same time, it always stood in the back of my head, why were your parents like that? Why is your family still using and selling drugs? Why don't they change? And it really bothered me. So you know what I did? I wanted to find out why, so I can get this hurt and anger and work through it. So you know what I did? I worked 2 jobs. I put my son through school. I bought me a home at 25 years old. And I became an addiction counselor. I think it's saying what I did is easier than believing that I did it. Because it's not easy. And I'm the first one to tell you. It's not easy. But if you do the work, the reward is there. Because right now, my reward is still with me. 14 years later, as I still own my home. And at the same time, I picked up all them skills. I went through them obstacles. They were not there. I still had family issues. I tried to bond with my parents. I really wanted to know why they were so hurt and angry and what was going on. So again, I became an addiction counselor. And I helped people in their situations, and I got my answer. Their life is what they make it. Their life is what they make it. And I cannot keep beating myself up and putting myself down for what they have chose. And I cannot continue to live in anger and be upset with them because they didn't have the tools that they needed to parent me. And they chose not to get them. So you know what I did? I turned that anger into determination. And I used it on my son. My son played football and baseball from when he was 6 years old to 15 years old. I am proud to say I've never missed a game. I was team mom and his biggest fan, running up and down the sidelines with my signs. And I even would make T-shirts and everything with his name, and everyone knew who Perez, number 35, was. And who his mother was, of course. I was his biggest fan. Okay? Being a single mom was not easy, especially raising a boy. My son was fighting me. As he got older, he got healthier, and I will tell you, his health needs, you would never think they were even there. He's a 6'2" man, and he weighs 200-something pounds. You would never know that kid was preemie. I fed him good or something. So on that note, I love my son to death, but he had the family blood in him. Reminds me just of my brother. He decided at 14 years old that he was not going to play sports and he was going to hang out with gang members. Everything I had worked hard for, I moved him out of the hood. He even asked me one time, he's like, Mom, how come where we live, we don't have couches on the porch? I said, son, I'm going to let you figure that one out and let me know what you come up with. And no, I didn't let him put a couch on our porch. So again, trying to give Damien a better life, and he still fought me, and he still went the wrong way. Next thing you know, he shows up at home with a tattoo on his hand, claiming to be a blood. I was so upset and hurt and angry, but regardless, I had to think again. I couldn't push him away. I couldn't give him hurt and anger. I was all he had. I was mom and dad. I tried to give him the best, and I said, Damien, if you do not join a sport, I'm going to pick one for you because you're not going to be a thug out there. I tried everything. So you know what I did? He didn't believe me. I said, you want to be a rapper? I'll feed into it. I will support you, but you're going to do something with it. You're not going to be running the streets, hanging out with the wrong crowd. You know what I did? He wouldn't choose a sport or any involvement to get in, so I chose one for him. He wasn't happy because he was now a young Marine. At the same time, I knew his life was what I made it. And we fought and kicked and screamed. He even tried to take down the recruiters at Young Marines, and they just supported me all the way and put him on his back and said, no, boy, you're not doing that here. They would pull him out of the car and take him and get him dressed. You know what? Once he got that anger out of him, he ended up graduating the best young Marine recruit out of his platoon. He got a special award. He had the best swim quals. And my whole point to him is, son, you can do it. You can do it. And I'm here to show you you can do it. Look at our family. Look at Auntie and Uncle living on housing still and milking the system. Look at your grandma and grandpa. You know, my dad and I bought our house the same time 14 years ago. But my dad bought his house with drug money, by selling drugs. You know what I did? I worked with my 2 hands. And my reward for working with these hands and working them 2 or 3 jobs and taking care of my son is I'm able to keep my house because I paid for it with clean dollars. Very proud of that. Very proud of that. At the same time, because I did the work, I have taken my son to Florida. We visit my brother. He's out there. And unfortunately, my brother's still the same. He goes to sentencing in about a week. He's looking at life in prison for selling drugs. He has 6 children and he takes care of none of them.
Oh.
He got into the family loop. I tell my son, these are your options. And then there was the younger sister that I raised, Venus, who is my best friend till the day. When I told her, sister, you are not going to go through what our family put me through. You are going to be somebody in life. I sent her to Job Corps. I said, you do something or I'm going to find something for you too. I was the mother. I was not playing. Sent her to Job Corps, and you know what she does? She comes back with a man pregnant. I'm like, are you serious? That wasn't what you went to Job Corps for. But at the same time, ever since she's had my little Ricky, she is the best mom in the world. It's all about Ricky. She's self-sufficient. She's still with the baby's dad. My brother-in-law, James, he came up from a drug-infested world also. And we just took him in, and I don't go a day without talking to her. I talk to her 2 or 3 times a day, every day on the way to work. Hey, sister, what's going on? What are we doing this weekend? Is it Sons of Anarchy Saturday night and food at your house? Every day, she's my best friend. She works in a call center for APRI and the healthcare industry. She just bought her a new vehicle. I'm so proud of her. At the same time, she's a wonderful mother, and she always calls me for advice, as we are best friends and we're tied at the knot. Let me tell you a little bit about what happened to Mom and Dad. Dad continued to sell drugs, and because he paid for his house, we went to a seminar to learn how to buy a house at the same time. Went separately, bought our houses. Dad went and set himself up for failure and bought a house that he couldn't afford. And because he paid, I strongly feel in my heart, because he paid for it with drug money and he didn't do the work, he lost his home, and he got caught selling drugs. Hardest thing in the world was to see my dad behind that piece of plastic. I went to see him. I went to see him and tell him how disappointed I was in him, how hurt and angry I was for the example he had set for my life and him being selfish. I said, Dad, you're in here behind bars. Did you ever think of that if I wanted to go to college? If I wanted to have good credit? If I wanted to do things good in life? Did you ever think about me the whole time you had me? Because you did not think about me. I had to work 2 or 3 jobs to make this happen. I'm upset with you. I don't ever want to see you behind bars again. I will never come here again to see you. Dad got out. He did his crime. He did the time. He's never sold drugs again. He lost everything. He lost everything. But you know what? That was all materialistic things. You know what Dad's doing nowadays? He has severe health issues. He's a diabetic. He still never used drugs. I'm so proud of him for that. I mean, I think once in my life I saw Dad drink a sip of wine and he was kind of ditzy. But to the day, I had to get that hurt and anger out. And you know what I did? I knew I had to work with it. And the only way I was going to get to have a relationship with my parents is if I did the work, because they knew nothing what to do. So I went back and I got me some more tools. I like to say I have tons of toolboxes behind me. Because what I did was I went out and I educated myself. Because in our family, we not only struggled with drugs and alcohol, but we have mental health issues. And that's huge. Because if you don't take care of the mental health issues, they're going to take care of you. At the same time, I'm standing in front of you, and I am bipolar. I am a severe depression, and I have PTSD. Nobody believes me. You know why? Because I take care of myself. I know that I cannot sit in that house or I'll get anxiety and cry. I know that I cannot get around that wrong crowd or I'll start thinking negative, being around negative people. And you know how I know? Because I went and did the work, and I went to Aurora Mental Health, and I went and got educated on what this mental health is. And because I did that work and I got educated, I'm living the American dream, I can honestly say right now. I didn't finish there. I still didn't have the skills in dating, and I knew I wanted a healthy relationship. I got with the wrong man, and he was an alcoholic. Hardest thing in the world, parenting a man, on top of one being an alcoholic. Parenting a man is not in my application anymore. At the same time, I was parenting him and the child, so I was raising an alcoholic and trying to be a good mother. It didn't work out very well, and I learned that the hard way. So after several years of him not coming home at night and wondering who he was with and where he was at, I built myself up. I got some more tools on how to be strong to get away from this situation, and I did it. But then I wanted to know, well, gee, why is my picker broken? Why do I keep picking all the crazies? So you know what I did? I started teaching a healthy relationship class. How did I fall into that? At the same time, me? You know what that class did? It taught me how to pick them the right way. How to pick them the right way. Okay? At the same time, because I learned them and I got them skills behind my belt, I got to come out and teach everyone else how to have a healthy relationship. And it became a part-time job. They liked me so much. So not only was I getting to help other people, but I was also learning how to have a healthy relationship. And because I did that work also, I'm in the most healthiest relationship in my life. Someone said, what's that class called? I still have the curriculum. At the same time, you know, right now, I have a wonderful job. I work for May Trucking Company as a recruiter. They pay me to come out here and give you goodies and talk about our company. Wow. They pay me good to do that. At the same time, my son is 19 years old. I love him to death. He didn't go to college. He didn't graduate, but he's still my son. And I still love him, and I still support him in every way. He is into sales now. He likes to sell stuff. So you know the guys that drive around with the meat trucks trying to sell you meat? One of them's probably my son out there. But you know what? It wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I pushed for. But at the same time, he's not dead or in jail or selling drugs. That's all I was trying to make. That's the only point I was trying to make. And more than anything, I wanted a relationship with my son that I did not have with my parents. Until the day, Mom, guess what happened? He was calling me at 11 o'clock last night. I was like, really, son? He's like, Mom, you said I could call any time. All right, we have the best relationship in the world, and we have this thing called sanity. Mom does not have sanity if you do not check in once a week. So he comes over and eats all our leftovers. I'll take it. I get quality time with my boy. Okay, no children, not married. And he learned from me how to have a healthy relationship. I was his role model. I was his example. Okay. Mom, probably about 10 years ago, Mom finally got clean and sober and found the Lord. Oh, wow. At the same time, a lot of healing had to take place because I could not have a relationship with somebody who believed I deserved to be raped and still believed it to the day. So I let Mom do some healing. And I kid you not, a month ago, she sat on my couch in my front room and apologized to me for that. That took a lot out of her to do that. A lot. At the same time, I'm now building a relationship with my mom. I tease her though, I'm like, you just got a new addiction. You're always at bingo. I said, I won't feed into your bingo. Can we have some quality time doing something else? So she's going to come over this weekend and we're going to have some quality time with my sister. And I have this thing about pampering and doing it at home because it's cheaper. You have to get creative when you're a single parent. So we're going to dye each other's hair and we're going to paint each other's nails. We're going to have our first mom and daughter day. You know what Dad's doing? He's on disability. His health is horrible. He's a diabetic and he has bad knees and stuff because he's a welder. Although he always worked, he did sell the drugs and stuff. You know what? Dad is hurting for money right now, and he's barely making ends meet because he's still making the poor choices of putting everyone in front of him and not taking care of his mental health. And it kills me, but I can't feed into it. I did the work, so do he has to also. So you know what Dad needed? He got in some financial debt, and he almost got evicted. So I said, Dad, let me help you out. He said, no, I don't take money from you. I said, I wasn't going to give you money. Same time, I'm doing good, don't mean I have a lot of money. At the same time, Dad is painting inside and outside of my house and using his skills to help keep my house looking nice. And more so than anything, I'm helping him pay his debts, but I get to be a part of my dad's life. That's all I want. That's all I ever wanted, was to have and know why they were the way they were and be a part of their life. And I am blessed to say today that Max and Linda Pettis are my parents, and I love them to death. On that note, I still own my home. I plan on paying it off when I'm 55 years old because I'm going to live full life in retirement. I'm not going to struggle about the medical bills. I have this plan. I bought that house when I was 25. It's in a 30-year fixed loan. I've never refinanced it. That's the number one rule. You don't touch that money. Because of it, I have equity. And if I play my cards right, I'll have that house paid off at 55 years old. I'm 39. That's my new goal. I bought me a Kia Sorrento and paid it off. I have an Impala, paid it off. I have a wonderful support system, and I call him my Rossi. He is my boyfriend, and he is the love of my life, and he is my soulmate. He is my biggest support system. And I smile as I talk about him because he just makes me smile thinking about him. He's a mechanic. He works hard. He has no children. And he is there every day when I come home with open arms. And we never go to bed without saying goodnight and giving each other a kiss. On that note, I feel that I'm living the American dream. And I'm here to tell you, you can do this also. Your life is what you make it, and I want you to remember, I said that because I'm living proof. If I can do it, and I can jump the obstacles, and I can do all the hard work, and get through all this stuff, so can you. So can you. Your life is what you make it. I don't want any other excuses. I don't want to hear anything else. You remember what I said. Your life is what you make it, and I'm living proof. Thank you for having me today.
You've done a beautiful job with your life. Keep it up. Anybody have a question for her? We'll
Any
take a couple
questions
of
or anything? I did see a hand up. Yes.
Sorry, I did that at the wrong time.
No, you're fine.
I was going to ask you, how did you become an addictions counselor and also a relationships counselor with the addictions?
You know, I started off as an administrative assistant for the University of Colorado, and I had a big passion for helping people and helping single moms and just getting people to where I was at. So I looked and I asked questions and I dug into the information and I did the homework. And because I did the homework, I learned how to become a certified addiction counselor.
I've heard of that. I used to be over at the methadone clinic, and one of the people there had turned into one of those.
Yes, I will be more than happy to share the experience in the process, but I did start off as an administrative assistant, and I put myself through school, and I also became the vice president of the staff council for the University of Colorado.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
Studying and reading and working on it.
At the same time, you know, I had a lot of determination and strength, and you know what? I went to them and said, what are them people doing behind them doors? I want to do that too. Are they helping people? I want to help people. So I got out from behind the admin desk and I asked questions. And because I asked questions, I got more tools and more knowledge.
Yeah.
Hey, I can do that. I just need the information,
Okay.
the push, and the
At the same time, feel free to see me after this, and I'll be more than happy to be a support system to you.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you. Any other questions for me?
That curriculum for the relationship thing?
You guys are on me on that one. You know, I was doing it for free at all the social services, and I love to give back. I will talk to someone here and see if we can maybe offer that, because I love teaching that class, and it's helped me so much. It not only helped me how to have a healthy relation and how to be safe in it, but it taught me that, you know what, there's change. Change is available, and it's how you deal with it. And I don't always have to pick the wrong crowd. I just didn't know how to pick the good ones. Yes.
At any point, did you ever find your relationship with God like how your mom did?
Honestly, I love God. I believe in the Lord, but I do not go to His house every Sunday. I respect the Lord, and I've showed up to church once or twice to do some. I've been going to more of the shows and trying to get a little bit more involved with Mom and stuff. But no, I'm not ready. When I'm ready, I'll go. When I'm ready, I'll go. Any other questions for me? Well, once again, lady, I don't know how to preach it more to you. Your life is what you make it, and I'm living proof. Keep your head up and go strong. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. You're a sweetheart. That ought to give us time now to go get clothes and get your hair done and start feeling good about yourself. She is really great. But did you catch what she did is education, working all the time, studying, bettering herself. My grandmother always said to me, try to run with people that are smarter than you are, because it rubs off on you, which it does. It does. So, Denny, are you ready to have the microphone here? Ms. Jones?
All I can say is, wow, that was a story. What we'd like to do today, what we're going to be doing is asking the ladies to please finish talking to employers, the resources, find out what's available to you in the community. Or you can go into the resource room and fill out applications online if some of the employers were offering that service to you. We do have computers available to you. What I would like to do right now is I have some thanking to do here. I would like to thank all the employers and resources, the volunteers that came out, and I actually want to name them, okay? May Trucking, our Rosalita Perez. Okay. We have Goodwill Staffing, Goodwill Maine, that's also here. And I hope a lot of ladies are taking advantage of this. U.S. Truck Driving School, you know, those non-traditional jobs, a lot of times that's where the big money's at. T-Mobile, Xerox Call Center, Loose Research, Caption Call Center, Liberty Tax, Time Warner Cable, Star Tech Call Center, Hilton Garden Inn and Homewood Suites Hotel, H&R Block, King Soopers, District 11, Colorado Rehire Program, Bright Star Care, Safeway, Bass Pro Shop, Marriott Hotel, Checks Unlimited, Toys R Us. These are all the employers that we have brought together for you ladies today, again, to empower yourselves and be that positive role model for your children. A lot of the community is also here. We have gathered Colorado Tech University, Pikes Peak United Way, Peak Vista Community Health Center, Women's Resource Agency, Boyd Health, Blue Jay Wireless. If you're on assistance, you get a free cell phone, and they are here doing that. Young Williams Child Support Services, Mission Medical, Aspen Point Cafe. They donated the coffee today, and we also have them talking about their culinary program. CPCD Child Care Services, Pikes Peak Therapeutic Writing Center, Leadership Pikes Peak, Full Figure Resale Shop. Mary Kay representative is here. Take advantage. She can give you some makeup tips. Some of the contributors that we had, Pepsi Products, God's Pantry, Redeemer Church, Julia Lindahl donated a lot of clothes. Full Figure Resale Shop, Center on Fathering, and we have our Teresa Reardon offering free massages. Teresa, say hi. Her hands hurt by the end of the day, poor thing. Okay, so what I'd like to ask is, we need all the, and let me also say, I'm sorry, the volunteers at DHS and the volunteers at Goodwill, they deserve a big hand. They work so hard to put this together. It's amazing the work that they do. So what I'm asking for the ladies to do is, while we set this up, we're going to bring out the racks, the shoes. We got lingerie as well, and accessories and purses and tons of shoes. I think we got a lot of centipedes at DHS. But what we'd like to do is ask you to go back into the resource and employer room, finish talking to them. And again, you can go into the resource. Volunteers, please stay in place. Thank you very much for coming out, ladies.
She thought you meant real centipedes. I said, no, Mom. Everybody's playing